By 939, the Viking grip on Brittany was slipping. For decades, Norse warbands had raided, conquered, and occupied Breton lands, but the Bretons, fierce and determined, refused to submit. At Trans-la-Fort, they made their final stand facing the Vikings in a battle that would decide the fate of their homeland. Here, the ancestors of modern France clashed with the ancestors of modern Denmark and Norway in a fight for the survival of Brittany. The year is 939, Vikings versus Bretons. A resistance movement rises against the invaders. For years, Viking forces had established settlements and strongholds across Brittany, ruling through force and intimidation. But the Bretons had not been defeated. Led by Duke Alan II, they gathered an army to drive the Norsemen out once and for all. Rather than facing the Vikings in open battle, Alan used a strategy suited to his terrain: hit and run attacks, ambushes, and surprise raids. He knew that the Viking warriors were strongest in direct combat, so he made sure to never give them the fight they wanted. The battle came to a head at Trans-la-Fort, deep in the forests of northern Brittany. The Vikings, seeking to crush the Breton rebellion, moved inland, expecting a decisive battle. Instead, they were caught in a series of ambushes. Breton warriors, lightly armoured and highly mobile, struck from the trees, harassed Viking formations, and disappeared before the Norsemen could counterattack. The terrain was a nightmare for the Vikings. The dense forests and narrow paths neutralised their superior weaponry and shield formations. As the battle raged on, the Viking forces suffered heavy casualties. Their warbands became isolated, unable to regroup or escape. By the end of the battle, the Viking occupation of Brittany was over. The battle was over, the Bretons had won. But this wasn't just a battlefield victory, it was the rebirth of Breton independence. Duke Alan II, now known as Alan Barbatort Alan the Twisted Beard, restored the Duchy of Brittany, securing its autonomy from both the Vikings and the Franks. The Norse never returned in force. Brittany remained free from Viking rule. But could the Vikings have held onto their territory? Some historians suggest that if the Vikings had formed alliances with local Breton lords, they could have created a stronger foothold in the region. If they had relied more on diplomacy instead of raids, could they have built a permanent Viking kingdom in Brittany? Or were the Bretons simply too determined to ever be conquered? Like and subscribe for more historical breakdowns.